are here with another special interview here. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us where you're from?
Okay. My name is Vjeko Franetovic. I am a director at the Calgary Game Developers Association, CGDA. And I am also I'm a part of the Devolver Digital team.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with we kind of ran into you guys last year at Gamecon, but didn't, by whatever means, we didn't get to link up and talk. So what is the purpose of the Calgary Game Developers Association?
So, the way that I would put it, and this is not what's on the website or whatnot, I started in games myself in 2009.
Okay.
And at the time, there was nothing. There was no community. There was no scene. There was zero in Calgary when it came to developing games. So Mike Lohaus, who is a former director of the CGDA, now working at Bow Valley in video games, we started making games together, attending game jams, traveling essentially because there was nothing here.
Yeah.
So we hit every game jam we could hit, we hit all over North America. And going back to your question, the CGDA is what I wish we had when we got started.
Okay.
So that's what we're trying to do. Essentially, we want to give our 1,200 members an opportunity to have a place for support and to run into other people that are doing the exact same thing. So to that extent, we organize events throughout the year. We typically do between 3 to 4 game jams.
Okay.
We also do a couple of live events. So we just did Indie Game Bash early in the year during CUF.
Yeah.
It was like a big screen indie game tournament, like a 32-person bracketed tournament. It was like, you got to attend next year. It's great.
Yeah.
And as part of that, we actually invited the developers from the games that we were using to do a little bit of a talk at the beginning and participate in it as well. And our flagship event every year is the Alberta Game Series. We do it with the CED, as well as DA and other partners. And yeah, that is, again, it's like it's a small scale, intimate sort of like summit event. So we fly people that have done this before, that have found success in indie games, to do talks about whatever it is they want to talk about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, go for it.
So, obviously you kind of mentioned 2009, there wasn't a whole lot of exposure or support for something like this.
Yeah.
How would you describe the gaming scene in Alberta today? Because I feel like, in the last 5 or 6 years, we've kind of seen a really big increase there.
Yeah, in one word, I would say fledgling. It is growing. We're not at the point where I would say, we're not necessarily exploding, but the amount of newcomers that I continue to see, it's very encouraging.
Yeah.
So it's people that have absolutely no experience in video games or very little that are rapidly getting into the motion of things. It's a combination. Some people in our community have published games in the past. They have found success as well. So it's a little bit of a mix, but the large majority of our members are just getting started on this.
Have you found that with the addition of some of these programs that you said, Bow Valley College and other places that are starting to have game design and game development programs, are you finding that more people are kind of heading to you from that, or is it?
I don't know. I don't know what I would attribute it to directly. I think it's just that game development, the barrier of entry is much, much lower than before.
Right.
It was, I'm not going to say easier, but so it's much easier than before. I think having places that teach you how to get into it will give you a little more of encouragement, I suppose, and confidence. I don't necessarily agree with schooling for video games.
Okay.
And that's not, I'm not against it. Obviously, I'm never going to get in the way of anybody trying to teach people how to do things, but I'm more of the, give me an idea and a weekend and a computer and we'll just jam through it, right? That's more of my approach, but I've been coding since I was a child. So it's a bit of a different story. Curriculum is going to adjust. Video games is not something that you can just set like we do with education before.
Yeah.
It can take years, and Bow Valley knows this for the record, right?
Yeah.
They know exactly how they're going about it, and it's encouraging, but they still need to navigate through whatever it is they need to navigate, right? So I think you have to be rapidly moving. I think you need to recognize that not everybody's at the same level. Yeah. And it's so obvious, but a lot of people don't get it that way, right? Yeah. So I think you need to recognize that not everybody's at the same level. and that success looks different for everyone.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think that's what we like about the video game industry too, is that there's no cookie cutter way on how to do it.
Yeah.
You know, you see some guys that want to get into it and go immediately into AAA level style games.
Yeah.
And then there's others that see the indie scene and go, that's what I love. You know, that's the space that I want to be in. And then, you know, there's something for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And that's really nice.
You couldn't pay me enough to work in AAA, personally. Like, it's just nothing against it. It's just that they make sausage. They know how to make the sausage. You know exactly what's going to take to get that sausage through to make it.
Right.
There's no mystery to it. And the amount of risk that he's taking is very, very low.
Yeah.
Indies are, you know, naturally risk takers. And that's where you want to be. That's how you get interesting games. You don't, you know.
And that's why we appreciate and we really want to like sort of spotlight the indie scene, especially because you know, around Calgary, like you said, it's fledgling. We want to try and grow that, but it's important to foster that creativity, risk taking in video games, so we don't get the same shit coming out every single year.
Absolutely.
Broken and not interesting.
Absolutely. And here's another thing too, right? Like, and this is one thing that it's very easy to take when you are working in an indie space, in that kind of like mentality, right?
Yeah.
You are going to fail several times.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Your first work is going to be dog shit. It doesn't matter how much you work on it. You cannot polish that turd at all, right? But it is those reps that are going to get you there, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're never going to build something like Celeste. You know, it's gonna take you 17 iterations of platforming for you to even understand how movement is done in that game. And that's not something that you just pick up. So let's analyze the screen and no. You gotta build it. You gotta fail. You gotta, like, you know, it's part of the process. And I think the more you do these game jams, the more you get into it, the more comfortable you become with, like, you know, failure as a success.
Absolutely.
So
Are you finding that game developers in Calgary especially are starting to really reach out to you guys, and then there's more of a collaborative effort there to kind of grow as a whole?
I think so. I think, you know, and I'm going to include, you know, Edmonton and Lethbridge as well into this whole thing, because certainly, I mean, our focus is on Calgary and the name, in the name of our organization, but we work very closely with both Edmonton and Lethbridge, and we're not the same, but we're very, very close. And yeah, I think that, you know, we've been around since 2015. It's going to be 10 years with the CGDA next year.
That's awesome.
So, and we are finally getting on that stride. Like, you know, I would say like 3-4 years ago, this thing just started to go and to go and to go. People are coming out. We do this event every Friday. It's Indie Friday. It's a platform. Everybody's welcome to come. It's really just like a co-working session.
Yeah.
So you can come in and work on games, work on like things that are related to games, chill.
Yeah.
The only rule is, you know, bring your own equipment, and if somebody's wearing headsets, not bother them, and that's it, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but besides that, yeah, I think Calgary's finally getting on that rhythm.
Yeah.
They're getting into that comfort level, right? And we're not being shy ourselves, and I'm not just talking about the CGDA, but like more senior members to just be tough, right?
Yeah.
You gotta get on those, and you have to be honest. You can't just go like, "Oh yes, fucking love it, it's great." Like, this is like, you know, publish it a little more, and you can publish it. No, it's more like, yeah, this is shit.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I like this part.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, we should make this better.
Make it. It's time to stop with the platformers, right? Like, do top down, right? Like, you know, understand how it flows. I mean, obviously, I'm a developer, right? So like, I'm going to focus heavily on the programming side of things.
Right.
But our community is large in that, you know, like, we have designers, we have, you know, musicians, we have a little bit of everything.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
So if someone wants to get involved or get in touch with the CGDA, where's the best place to do that?
Calgary.games.
Calgary.games.
Yeah, https / whatever, Calgary.games.
All right.
That's where you can find all the information about memberships, the things that we do, don't do, where to come, upcoming events, all that wonderful stuff.
Amazing.
Do you guys have a headquarters space that you kind of do all of these events at, or does it kind of rotate to different places?
Platform Calgary has been very, very good to us over the years, and it is essentially our unofficial home.
Okay.
That's where we host our Indie Fridays every week. That's where we host most of our game. Actually, I would say all of our game jams are hosted at Platform too. And that is where you find us.
Awesome. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us today. We'd love to hear the indie, like the game dev side of things.
Sure.
We'll definitely be trying to come to more events here in Calgary and maybe do a little on the spot recording too.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you.